Normatec recovery systems give you a high-tech compression massage for warm-up pre-workout and recovery post-workout.
The technology is very safe and is used by a broad range of athletic types and really any fitness enthusiast looking to get the most out of their workout.
The whole idea is that we're using air compression to help increase circulation in the body. We wanted to mimic physiology, the way the body moves fluids. We went ahead and took a lot of those principles and put it into a system that you can use on your different extremities and your hips as well.
Normatec has been an industry leader in pneumatic compression, providing improved mobility and profound healing for thousands of patients. We continually work with researchers to study and develop the effectiveness of our technology.
It's all about creating that community space where people have a conversation around recovery and start really challenging their beliefs in what is possible and what they've known and maybe what could be.
Come on, move. Of course, there aren't any spots. A few minutes won't hurt anybody. Thanks, Grandma.
Paralyzed Veterans of America works tirelessly every day to create a more accessible America. Let's leave the accessible spaces to the people who actually need them. Whatever the reason, excuses don't excuse. Join PVA and be part of the solution. Honor the spot.
Welcome along. We're with the Echelon Racing Community Series again today. This is the second day. We were here yesterday. Some thrilling racing yesterday. We hope for plenty more today. We've got 5 races coming up. We've got men's A and B category. Men's A is the equivalent of real life races categories 1, 2, 3, and category B is 3, 4, 5 category races, if that makes a lot of sense to you. If you want it in Zwift terms, that's probably A and B is A and C and D is B. Women's is open, so women of all abilities can enter that one. And we have a para race and a hand cycling race, and I'm looking forward to every one of those. I'm not sure if we've got the hand cycling avatars yet. They are on the way. I don't think they'll be here today, but somewhere in this series we will get them. Now the series goes on for right through to the spring, so we're here for months. It's not on every day, but here's a list of things you can look forward to. So we had the Indiana Crit yesterday, and Tour of America's Dairyland today. Tour of America's Dairyland is actually a city crit just outside Milwaukee, or inside Milwaukee's metropolitan area anyway, but on the edge of it. So I suspect it's not quite as rural as the title suggests. As I say, it's a city crit. We've got something like 23 laps, and we'll have a look at the course shortly. Coming up on the 11th of December and the 12th of December, so you can see there's a pattern here of a couple of weeks gap, and then you get another bumper super weekend like we've just had, or we're in the middle of, really, aren't we? Because it's day 2 of super weekend number 1. Super weekend number 2, you can see the Gateway Cup on the 11th of December with the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic on 12th of September. I'm afraid you're going to have to get to the new year before you get any more racing, though. 2nd of January, make sure you haven't got a hangover. Then on to January the 15th, a fortnight later, and then the January the 16th. So there's another super weekend there on January the 15th, 16th, finishing up on 29th of January. So that's your winter series. Don't miss out. It's going to be lots and lots of fun. And this is the Pro Racing League, I think, isn't it? In the intervening weekends, you get the pros racing these same courses. So the events we're covering today, of course, are open to us all to get involved in, because they're for the community rather than the actual top pro ones. But they're just as exciting, believe me. And we had an absolute thriller in the ladies' race yesterday. So stick around. 4 o'clock, or just after 4:10. That's UK time, Greenwich Mean Time, so calculate your own time on that. Now here we are in Wauwatosa, and we'll give you a little bit of history in that. You can see as we sort of kind of weave around just north of the football ground there, that it's a fairly flat. I think it's pretty flat all the way around. Inner city crit or city crit, perhaps not inner city, but that's it. That's the shape of it. We've got 36 kilometres to do, so it's just about 1.5 kilometres long and 23 laps. 23 laps for the men's A, men's B and the women's, and 15 laps for the paracycles and the hand cycle. So plenty to look forward to. I'm not sure how many are on the line, but I'm sure we're going to find out any minute now. So you've got the men's Cat A on the left there and the men's Cat B on the right. 44 Cat A's on the line. I'm not sure how many the same names from yesterday. Now remember, this is a series and you get points for where you finish. You see Bottigliero is one that was definitely racing yesterday. I can see that. I'm not sure the others were. We shall see anyway. In the men's B, I'm not sure how many riders we've got in the men's B. Let's have a look, shall we, if we can. 31 online so far. We're up there. Tend to get a bit of a rush before the start on those 3 seconds, so they're going to go now, and off they go. Surely, yes, that's it. Now you have to pedal very, very hard, because if you get dropped here, you're in big trouble for the rest of the race. As I say, it is a crit though, and we are probably going to get back markers caught and lapped. So, as I say, both these races will be run simultaneously, and we'll be flitting between the two, hopefully catching all the best bits of the action. And certainly keeping you abreast of what's going on in the race. You can see actually somebody in the B race is pulling away quite early, isn't it? Aren't they? And it's Fletch, the US rider, pulling out. Has pulled out 34 metres on lap 1. Now that is a very brave move in a 36 kilometre race. Whether or not that can hold or not, I don't know. It is a downhill start. I mean, if you look in the top left hand, you can see a little bit of the sort of profile of it, but it's not. How can I say? It's not going to be very, very steep. And we've only done 10 metres climbing according to that. So if you look at the bottom of your screens, you'll see that there's it's mainly green. Red bits are up slopes and blue bits are down slopes. I'm actually quite intrigued for City Crit. Those little ramps look quite steep, actually, because it's how red they are that tells you how steep they are. So I think what Fletcher's done, and he's got company here now, I think what he's done is utilised those ramps to just pull away from everybody else. There's 2 of them away in the category B race, so and they've got, I think they're getting pulled in a little bit. It's down to 20 metres now. You can see the peloton breathing down their necks. I think they're going to get caught. There's certainly somebody pulling away, leading the peloton. That's Rice. We've got an American top 4 here, an all-American top 4. Justin Rice is the man that's teasing the peloton towards the people in front. It's down to 10 metres now. The brake is not going to work. But I think we've got to watch these ramps because they could be good little attack points. And whilst I think this is far too early to make anything like that stick, it's nevertheless going to disrupt the flow of things. And I think in the last few laps, if you can get away from one of those little steep red sections, you might, and you can hold it for a kilometre, that's going to be good news. So they finished the first kilometre. It's about 1.58 kilometres, the first lap, sorry, and we still have 34 to go. Over to the A's. Now they're riding a bit faster, as you'd expect, and we have a Brit, Terry Wilkinson, on the front. Not for long. I think he's about to get caught. Yes, indeed. The peloton quickly, and you can see there that they were all swooping down there. They've just passed that little blue section. If you look at the bottom of your screen, the big white bulb thing is the rider that the camera is on at any particular moment. The other white dots are other people. You can see it's sort of threaded out a little bit, but that white blob, you can see they're just about to come up to another little dip here as we look at Charlie Revel pumping out 300 watts, heart rate of 150, 48 kilometers per hour. They are doing -2 down that little slope there. Those slopes are not very long, are they, to be honest, because I don't think it's say going up you might just seal a few meters on somebody, and particularly in the later laps that might be critical, but I think too early now. You can see though that the sheer pace that they put in on the front, whilst it doesn't let them get away, it does shed people off the back, and you can see the amount of white dots already left behind in both races that vindicates this sort of action on the front. And the other thing is, although you may not get the solo breakaway, as long as other like-minded riders are doing the same, you can keep shedding people. Now this is a particularly good tactic if you're not a great sprinter, because you don't really want all the best sprinters around you. Of course, the best sprinters are the guys who are very good at sitting in and just taking the draft. So, you know, it's always a gamble. Tactics. And remember, people are riding individually, even though quite a few of them are in teams. So, yeah, you will see lots of jerseys in the same team, but they won't necessarily be riding for each other. Now, this may change later in the series. I mean, I know I've seen in the series I run, for example, we got to the last race of the last series, and obviously Mike Lister going off. He's actually in a new team, he was telling me, a British team based in Somerset, and that's what that jersey is for. So Mike looks over his shoulder as he's overtaken by Steve Brearley, and it's two Brits at the front, and Blodgett, who was riding yesterday as well, has come up and joined them. Not much in it in the Category A race though, and I think they're not particularly a long way ahead. I mean, there is a small gap of 10 metres, but I don't think that's going to stick. You never know. You never know. It's not. That's your answer. The camera pans around and we see a dirty great big peloton right behind us. So, Mike Lister again, another little push there. So he's quite keen. Keen to do well in his new team by the looks of things, I would imagine. And show off the New Jersey. As I say, they're based in Somerset, which is not far from where he lives. I don't know if he is he's in them because they're local or they're online actually. You know, because a lot of these teams that we have in these series are based around people who met each other in online racing and formed online teams despite where they live. Mike's team, by the way, I didn't mention the name. They're called Team for 2000. I'm not quite sure what that is. It's Team for 2000 with Callis, so maybe it's Callis that is the key sponsorship name that we should all be shouting out. Now, riders are riding these individually, but they are part of teams, and you will recognise some of the teams' kits as we're going through, and we'll try and pick some out for you as we go along. Now, this is everything I said about Fletch going too early. For the second day running, I'm eating some of my words. He's putting out just around 500 watts, which is pretty impressive, and he's got 52 metres on the field. I'm not saying this can't be done, but with 31 kilometres to go, I think that is a very brave move. He's going to have to get that, you know, to keep that expanding at a phenomenal rate with no abilities for a rest in the draft. So we'll see how Fletch does. I mean, that's what we do like is people doing this because it lights up the race, doesn't it? It makes it all entertaining. That's what we like. See my old mate Jan Dekker there, just behind Steve Brearley. Jan Dekker from Belgium, an East Flanders man, and a very good racer too. Not surprised to see him in the Cat A race here. Wish him well. As we can see, the jerseys there, for example, the light blue, white, red and black, that's 3Rs, as you can see from the logo. Quite a few of them in there. Ratio Racing here, Jan Dekker, the orange and black, and they were definitely an online form team. Jan Dekker putting out 221. Now, I know Jan can race harder than that. He's sitting in the draft, making the most of it. He's Belgian, they know how to race. Trust me, Belgians know what they're doing. Jan, I've seen Jan win quite a few races actually, so online that is. I'm looking at the B. What have we got? He's not putting out anything as Fletch on the B race. It's if anything, it's coming down slightly. Yes, you can see he's being chased by Boguslavski, and down to full. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm saying the gap's not much down. No, it's not down to. It's not down. It's Justin Rice. It's 90 from Rice, who's in third place. So, in fact, I think Fletch is pulling out the gap, but Boguslavski is closing him down, which I think made me give you some wrong information there, or misleading information. I think the gap that Fletch had, I gave the right information, but it was misleading in the sense that I assumed that second place. Boguslavski was actually in the peloton. He's not. He's absolutely hammering it. He's down to within 23 meters of Fletch, so that's quite a good. That is very impressive. Very impressive. If he can just get on there. I mean, I always say this: working together is how you're going to do this. Now this is a Zoom room. We've got two riders in there today. I'm not sure who their names are. Maybe at some point I might get that information. But you can see what it actually looks like inside. In this case, that we've actually got two people who've been allowed to take their bikes indoors. I mean, a lot of us have to do it in the outdoor garage or shed. So I mean, you can look at that two ways. It's warmer inside on a winter's day, but on the other hand, maybe too warm, who knows. Now you can see Fletch is just going up the gradient there. It's 3.57%, and then suddenly -2. So you can see I think when my experience of riding on this, when you do get a 7% ramp on here, it seems to sort of hurt more than it perhaps does in real life. It certainly takes the speed away from RGT when you hit something like 7%. So I think this is perhaps what's shaking this race up a little bit more than, say, yesterday's, which was, at first sight, looked as flat, but actually on closer examination wasn't. This one wasn't as flat as you thought. This is the peloton. We've still got, what have we got? I mean, Fletch is now 143. And Boguslavski is not closing down the gap quite as much as he was, I think. So Fletch is absolutely tearing it up. There's a certain amount of excitement in being proved wrong. There's a certain amount of embarrassment that goes with it. But if he proves me 158 metres, he's doing rather well, isn't he? There's some rocket fuel in there. So yeah, it makes it kind of interesting. I quite like being wrong in one sense and not in the other, but that is phenomenal. I wouldn't have expected this. Boguslavski is not going to catch Fletch, I don't think, because the gap between the two of them is just rocketed up by 100 metres. I think Boguslavski is going to get caught by the rest of the peloton. You can just see that there. Bottigliero it's closing in reasonably fast. It's down to about 40 metres now. I think if I was Boguslavski, I would probably sit up and let this lot catch me and just sit in the peloton and get my breath back and save some calories, I think. Now, we seem to have a little bit of a breakaway in the Category A race as well, don't we? And it's Wilkinson, although Yinen is chasing him down. Let's see what happens next. Sophocles is leading the pack. I think the pack are just not going to let this happen, are they? I mean, you can see the determination on the front there. It's not a flat pack. There's somebody on the front charging it down. Everybody else willingly following, and as you often see, there's a little bit sometimes of an overshoot, that somebody else sort of chasing that overshoots, which pulls the peloton along a little bit more. Then everybody has to catch up with that person, and they overshoot, which pulls it along a little bit more. And what you see is the guy out the front just getting hauled in. Yes, that looks stretched, but I think the effect of the stretch was going to be that he'll pull in the front rider there, but it probably dropped somebody off the back. Zach Harner, who was racing yesterday, in fact, did very well yesterday with a second place. It's almost a solo second place. I mean, there was, well, it probably was a solo second place, to be honest. There was two of them got away, and Zach settled for second some way before. Mike Swart in there, an RGT man himself. As we overtake some back markers, so that doesn't really change anything at the front. Zach Harmer is now out front, so that's everything back together again. E. Hogan, a Norwegian. And you can see they're riding for the same team, and I think this is what this e-racing has done, hasn't it? It's pulled teams, it's pulled people together that have never met before, made new friendships, camaraderies, and the rest of it. Mike Swart there, the RGT man, 220, sitting in the pack, making the most of it, riding for 3 hours. We've got quite a few riders in here today, haven't there? There's at least 6, I think, 5 or 6 anyway. So this lot holding together, nobody really pulling away. Although I think we've got to accept that it's probably the sort of 20 or so riders, 38 riders online at the moment, and we've probably got a bunch of about 20 in the running here, and everybody else just enjoying themselves on the way round. And don't forget, I mean, this is sorry, I'm just see, I've just been corrected actually. Mike Swart isn't officially RGT. He actually runs RGT DB, which is separate. There's a name I know, Jonathan Crane, who's one day I'm going to buy this guy a beer. I don't know how, because he lives in Birmingham, Alabama, and I live in London. But Jonathan Crane's been fantastic since I've known him online. We've never actually met face to face. Wish you well, Jonathan. You're probably doing your own stream, so not listening. But going back to Mike Swart, he runs RGTDB rather than directly working for RGT. So, but he's still, in my view, part of the RGT community, and I think all the little bits that make it up, the ZMS, RGTDB, everything that goes into it, and all the promoters, including Echelon, and people like myself, we make up this community. I think RGT's been a wonderful family to be part of since I've been around, and I've run races like these myself, commentate on other people's as well, and I think everybody's pulled together. I can't speak too highly of RGT and Echelon for putting this series on, which includes hand cycling, paracycling, women's race, men's category A, category B. You can't beat it, and of course the pro version of this, top-notch stuff. So as I say, RGT really is a community to be part of. As we look at the B race again, and Fletch is now 170 metres ahead of Bottigliero and Jay Rice. Phil Bottigliero, I'm probably pronouncing that awfully, Phil, really sorry about that. But anyway, Phil Bottigliero is in second place, leading the pack. That is quite split though, isn't it? I mean, this is completely the opposite of the A race, isn't it? We've got 9 people there, one maybe just off the back, all part of that, and then the 11th person, is another 153 meters back. This is this is big stuff. So this is really broken up in a way that the A race hasn't. I mean, I suppose you might argue that the you can just join the B race. You can't, you have to be sort of qualified. If that's the right word, is it? Look at that 8.4% as they go up that steep bit there, and you can see, you just saw there the way that certain riders could haul themselves up there and steal a couple of yards. The point is, I think if you steal a couple of yards, but there's a peloton behind you, they will recatch you. Now, if you look at Liviens here, the Belgian, now he's stolen those yards, and you saw him climb up that ramp. But the peloton's got the ability to catch him up straight away. So Rune Liviens is not going to get away, in my view. I often get proved wrong in this, but I think the evidence in front of us tends to suggest the peloton will catch him. But if you're in the back and you lose a couple of yards to the peloton, catching up is really, really hard. So I think what you do is again, it's one of those things where something like Liviens knows that ramp is not going to make a huge difference. He's not going to sustain that lead for too long. You see, they get ever closer. They're not having to work as hard as he is, even though they're going downhill now. And they will catch him and he'll get swept up again. But if you're off the back, it's not easy to do. Fletch now 124 metres ahead of Liviens. So it's come down a little bit. There is always the chance, as we're about a third of the way through the race, that poor old Fletch starts getting a bit tired. Slight sort of private joke for anybody British watching, but I was watching Porridge last night, so every time I say the word Fletch, you'll get the joke. Anyway, that's if you're old enough to remember the comedy series Porridge. I haven't seen it for years. So back to the A race. We'll keep the commentary international if we can, because it's not very fair to remark on an old British TV series that many of you listening to will not have even come across. So anyway, where are we today? We're actually in Milwaukee today, aren't we? We're at America's Dairyland, and I was intrigued about this because it seemed to me that it was a city crit, so it wasn't actually going to be a tour around lots of dairy pastures. Although the scenery that RGT give us, of course, that could be lots of dairy pastures, just need some cows in it, I suppose, don't we? And anyway, it is in a place called Wauwatosa. And I naturally assumed this was a Native American name for the town. But it turned out that it was actually named after a Native American chief in the area called Wauwatosa. So I was only half right. It wasn't the original name. It was named after some chief of one of the local tribes. And it's actually the Potawatomi word for firefly. So I'm sure some of the riders would love to have this name, be dubbed and nicknamed the Firefly, wouldn't they, for winning this or something? It's one of those little things that sportsmen like, isn't it? The rocket or something, the Firefly. I suppose as an English speaker, I'd probably find it far more gratifying to be nicknamed the Firefly than the Wauwatosa. Well, I don't know. Wauwatosa does have a ring to it, doesn't it? Actually, in second thoughts. Anyway, if the winner of this race wants to adopt the nickname the Firefly, then there's a good reason to do so. Fletch is down to 69 metres. The legs must be beginning to feel that breakaway. Oh dear, the peloton's now in sight. They can see their quarry. If he looks over his shoulder, he's going to see them bearing down. Having said that, I mean, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so still, it's still a top 9, isn't it? So there's 8 people bearing down, and if Fletch, I think if I were Fletch, I'd probably sit up and just let the 9 catch me, swallow me up, and sit in there, because I think the gap between 9th and 10th is now 650 metres. You can see somebody retired just there. It's a British rider, I think. Oh no, it's a camera. Sorry, I beg your pardon. It's I mean, it's 600 metres between 9th and 10th. I don't think that's going to close up. We actually did go past the stopped rider just there. Now you can see going up this ramp again, this 8% ramp, and look, somebody goes off the front, and Harris just behind. Fletch still 60 meters. I mean, I think that ramp just had the yes, it's Brady, the Dutch rider. Bagoslovsky is giving it a bit of a go as well. So I think that ramp probably sort of gave a bit of breathing space, but it's coming down again. You see, once they've sped up off that ramp and it's all downhill, you know, they can see their quarry ahead of them. Bottigliero is leading the pack. That's a name that's I'm gonna have to learn to pronounce that more smoothly, aren't I? Because he spends a lot of time at the front, and it's going to be quite a feature of his commentary. Save me, take me to the other race. Anyway, no, I think the charging down of Fletch, I think, is quite entertaining here, isn't he? He's holding off these 50 meters or something like Bottigliero on the front. Give me somebody with an easy name to pronounce. Livions, the Belgian. No, but Phil's not having any of that, is he? He wants to be on the front as Phil. I'll do the Phil bit. I'm fine with that. I know that if you go and work for one of the big broadcasters, they have whole pronunciation units to help you with these. Are they hanging poor old Fletch out to dry? They're just leaving him dangling. It's 35 metres, or is he trying to sort of... I mean, it's not one of these things like the professional races where actually, you know, you team managers sit in the car and I keep you out the front. The sponsors like the publicity. I'm not sure that there's any sponsor getting any publicity for this hanging out. It's still at 35 metres. Poor old Fletch. They're going to catch you, mate. I'm sorry. They're going to catch you. Well, that's my prediction anyway. So I think we're going to have about 9 of them as we head towards... I mean, we're not quite there, but we've done 15 out of 36 kilometres, nearly 16. So as we come to the halfway stage, I think that Phil Bottigliero is going to lead the pack up to poor old Fletch, and here it comes now. Look, just 12 metres. Oh, they're on the 8% bit, and it strings it out for a second, but now they're on the downhill bit, and that little ramp's quite nasty, isn't it? You can see how much they slow down as they go up it. But well done, Fletch. If there is a Progressive Rider award, I'm sure that you're well in line for it, as Phil Bottigliero takes the front and takes the limelight, and we're probably going to flip over to the A race now that little chase has taken place. Thanks very much, guys, in the B race. We'll be back soon. That was thrilling stuff, and thanks for lighting all that up, Fletch. We shall come back and see how you fare. We're looking at a top, probably now a top 8. I'm looking at the stats. So there's about 8 riders. I think somebody's dropped out, and I'm not sure who. So we'll come back to the B race shortly. Let's have a look at the A's, shall we? As again, we have a rider off the front, and it is Pavlich, Slovenian rider, ahead of Zach Harner and Blodgett, Cooper, Jonathan Crane. Quite an American turnout on this. Marko Pavlich from Slovenia. We were saying yesterday just how refreshing it is to see a country like Slovenia doing so well in the cycling world at every level, right at the top, midway down in races like this, and I'm sure that the general population is quite excited by what's going on, and it probably filters all the way down to young kids on little bikes with stabilisers, or whatever you call stabilisers where you live. They're the little things you put on kids' bikes so they don't topple over. The little wheels at the side. So Baird now is, well, Pavlich is on his own. Baird's sort of caught between the peloton and Pavlich. They're coming up to nearly at the halfway stage. So I'm just going to hit this ramp. Let's see if this makes any difference. Liam Bard is from Britain. Not a rider, I know. And Liam's just coming up. Now, I thought, did he get closer to Pavlich? Oh, he's just got caught. So that was interesting. So you saw what happened to Liam there. He, as soon as he hit that ramp, he lost enough momentum that the peloton swept up it. Now we've got this little downhill after that ramp, and again it's very steep. You can see by the blue markings on the profile at the bottom of your screen. So Pavlich pushing away, but at 15 kilometres, look at the speed that peloton's absolutely careering towards him. He's trying hard, but I don't think he's just coming down, isn't it? Zach Harner is the instigator of that. The others do need to stay on Zach's wheel though, and if they don't, in fact, there's a lot of splintering at the front, isn't there? Because Zach's got up to yeah. No, I think the peloton's coming now, isn't it? Eric Hill and Blodgett. Next up, Cooper, Sophocles, Eric Hill there, and pushing at 450 watts. So this is, I mean, it's serious stuff at the front. I mean, we're looking way above 300, and I think that's probably fairly consistently, which takes some effort. And you see that effort at the front has actually stretched the peloton a bit, which is really quite telling. It's not bunched up, so I mean, some people are struggling to stay on board. Sometimes this is just because they're caught out and it all sort of swoops together again gradually, but not always. What's happening in the B race then? I think they're fairly, the top 8 are fairly together. So this is going to be a race of 8, isn't it, really? And nobody, I think everybody's probably, he's on the front again. Mr. Fletch, we salute you. you just don't know when to take a rest, do you? It's absolutely all action for you. And I mean, the effort's sort of paying off because I think somebody else is just slipping off the back there. And we'll probably be down to 7 riders if that works. So attritionally, Fletch's tactics may or may not work. So, where are we at? We're over halfway in both races now. I think we can assume that the A race has got a fairly large peloton of 20 plus riders, and it may or may not thin out. I think there's always a chance it will thin out. The B race is down to 7 or 8. We'll have to see what happens. So Bogoslavski is now taking a dig out on the front, 50 metres. Now, if this to me, if Fletch had sort of done this now and got 150 metres, I think I would be sort of, questioning whether he could do it. At the time, I thought it was too early. It seems to have proved to being too early. I still think this is a little bit early, but it's certainly not as early as when Fletch did it. So who else we got in here? Hambrick from the USA giving us a nice little wave. How do you do? Hiya. Livians giving us a wave as well. Thank you. The Belgian. Marion Hambrick from the USA. I'm not sure from where in the USA. I don't know so many US riders. I think the only US rider that I actually know in this race is in the Category A race, which is Jonathan Crane. So I'm not overly qualified to comment on these people's palmares. So Bogoslavski is now 59 metres ahead in the B race. This B race is actually quite interesting, isn't it? It's we've still got so we've got a top 8 still. I mean, they're nearly a kilometre in front of this body from France and Keen from the USA and Ruzek from Poland, it looks like. So there's a Moonriders rider, in fact. Yeah, the B race is actually quite fascinating, isn't it? Because these guys are seriously racing. Whereas I think that's not for 1 minute to suggest the Category A race isn't serious racing. But everybody's just sort of like giving it a go, aren't they? Whereas I think the Category A race, these guys, they're obviously seasoned racers because they've got themselves up to this category, haven't they? So they know what they're doing. I think they're all sort of, of a reasonably equal standard. They all know that they're of a reasonably equal standard, and therefore they you know, they kind of look around and sort of kind of work out, you know, that it's not worth doing, or maybe it is, or we'll have a little poke here. Let's see what happens on the ramps if we can drop a couple. They seem to go for it. Whereas it's a much more sort of fun, let's all have a dig in the B race, isn't it? So it's fascinating stuff. It's like two completely different races. And well, we're having a look. Because Slowski's gone way off the front. This is fantastic. This is absolutely brilliant. He's still got 14 kilometres to go. It's a bloody long way, but good luck to you, mate. Good luck. Oh, we've got 4 people in the Zoom room now. I see some of the riders from yesterday have joined. So we've got somebody in a recumbent. We've got 2 recumbent riders, haven't we? Look at that, texting while you're recumbent riding. So that's the paracycling riders, I would venture. So let's have a look at the B race. This is, what a cracker, isn't it? This is absolutely, you know, just when you think sort of Fletcher's really sort of broken the whole thing up, he gets hauled in, and Boguslavski just, yes, right, my turn, lads, I'm off. We've only got 8 riders really competing this. Gordy now over a kilometre behind. That does, I mean, the other thing is, you look behind and you look at Bordy. Now behind him, you look at the next badge. They're all together, so there's still a great little sprint to come, probably for 10th place. In all honesty, isn't there? This is Arrest. He's in the group. He's in the top 8, and Terence Arrest. Borders was riding yesterday. Terence Arrest from Poland was definitely riding yesterday. This little ramp, look at it. Every time you can just see the speed goes down 22 kilometres an hour, and as soon as they're over the top, 40. It almost half the speed. I mean, to be 48 now, so all right, they're going downhill, but you know, it almost halves the speed just going over that short little ramp, doesn't it? That's the red space on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you look at the profile, which is mainly green, the red bits are the steep uphills, and the blue bits are the steep downhills. So that little ramp is halving everybody's speed. I mean, as I said to you, my experience of riding ramps like that is that I find them harder to deal with in an e-race than I do on the actual roads. I'm not really sure why that is. I never really thought it through, but everybody seems to shoot past me when you get one of those ramps. Look at that, 180 metres Boguslavski's got, and well, this is pretty hot stuff. 12 kilometres to go. That's still a long way to go. I mean, there's still a lot of racing to go and hold that. But what we do like is the entertainment value. It brings us all. So I wonder what sort of output he's putting out. Let's go back to the B race, and if we look at Boguslavski's data, it'd be just interesting to see what he's doing to push out that sort of gap. And bear with us. I'm sure we can do that. Poor me putting all the pressure on the producer. He doesn't get any of the credit. Does all the work. This is superbly put together, by the way, by ZMS. You can see the logo in the top right-hand corner of your screen. They do it for Echelon Racing Promotions, who put this series together, and we thank them very much for doing so. Excellent racing so far, and we've got a couple of months worth over this winter series still to come. So here we are, Joshua Boguslavski, and he's just going up that steep ramp. So let's see what he's putting out. He went over the steep ramp. He didn't go above 400 on that. I mean, that's impressive. Oh, he just did. Okay. Right, and he gets straight over the top and goes down. Now his gap, right, it is down to 90 metres there. Now let's see if that spins out. He's on the downhill, and everybody else is now going up the uphill, and the gap widens again, but only to 110. So maybe they're catching him naturally anyway. Maybe he didn't do that ramp fast enough, and it's back down under 100 now. And guess who's leading? Fletch. Would you believe? So Joshua Boguslavski has probably lost a little bit of his lead. And I do wonder, Fletch, look, he doesn't know how to stay in the pack, does he? Absolutely flying off the front. What an entertaining rider. Chapeau, sir. Well done. Well, that gap's hovering around 100, and I just wonder if that ramp is Boguslavski's Achilles heel. We're on the flat, and the gap is going up again. It's sort of hitting 110. And I wonder if Boguslavski is not really a natural climber. Certainly, the effect of taking, I mean, all right, an 8% ramp that short isn't particularly hard to ride. But if you're racing and it changes your whole tempo, you've now got to sort of rebuild all that tempo. Now, admittedly, it goes downhill fairly quickly afterwards. But nevertheless, you know, there's a lot of, you know, built up momentum that sort of gets lost in that little bit of a ramp. I wonder if that's a bit of a weak spot. Boguslavski's down to 87 now, though. Is it Fletch just piling on the... I wonder if it's Fletch piling on the pressure, because look, he's out off the front now. He's got 27 metres on the peloton. So maybe, I mean, if you look at the difference between the peloton and third place and Boguslavski, it's still at 100 metres, so it's Fletch. But of course, the effect of Fletch going off the front like this is that quite often drags the next batch, who are pulling in a bit of a gap. Now, we're going up the ramp again. And let's see what the gap looks like. Boguslavski down to 24. Down to 24. Gets over the top and straight up, speed up to 46 kph. He's suddenly got 90 metres on Fletch, but then Fletch will come over the top and presumably stop dropping. Oh, we got over 100 on Fletch there. So you saw, just as they went up that ramp, that Fletch was almost, you know, almost going to catch him, but then in fact Boguslavski got away. He's now got 100 on Fletch. So in the last lap it seemed like that Boguslavski lost a little bit of the advantage on the ramp. This time he seemed to have pulled a bit more out. So I wonder if what we're actually witnessing is that Boguslavski is putting in a phenomenal race, but so is Fletch, and Fletch is making Boguslavski's efforts not look quite as good as they would if you were just measuring against the front of the peloton. There's plenty more to come in this Category B race. This is going to be an absolute thriller to the finish, I think. Let's have a look at the A's though. Still by and large pretty much together. I'm sure the bunch is thinning a little bit. We see somebody just falling off the back as they go over the ramp there. But I think once you fall off the back, you don't get back on again. Peloton is thinning. They're probably sort of losing 1 or 2 a lap, which is kind of what I'd expect. So we're probably still around 20 riders. Alex Pleasure from Germany, only putting out less than 100 watts, but he's flying down the hill, of course. They're on the descent after that tricky little ramp that we've been discussing. Steve Brearley, just off the front. I'm not sure that it's going to stick all the way. Riding for 3R there, of course, in that familiar strip. Over to the B's again. What have we got? Oh, there's a split between 3rd and 4th going on here, isn't there? And well, we've missed a bit, haven't we? Fletcher's caught Boguslavski while we've been looking at the A race. We've got the Belgian Livians. He's out there just trailing Fletch. Boguslavski's still with them. Well, maybe, I suppose the way of looking at this is, all right, he may have been caught, and I think that is all the work Fletch was putting on. But it hasn't really, what it has done is fragmented the people behind. So this is sort of thinned right out now. Livian's Boguslavski goes first. So we've now got 3 riders at the front. Then we've got a great big gap back to Rice, Terence Arrest, Ortigliero, there's gap there. There's a 25-metre gap for Protégé and Hambrick as well. So, oh my goodness, and 8th is way off now. So we're down to 7 riders at the front, but they're not even all together anymore. This is absolutely blown apart. All the excitement coming with 8 kilometres still to go. Well, I did say earlier that I think this B race is going to be something of a fascinating tussle, and it's absolutely proved that way, hasn't it? We're looking at Rice now, sitting on Terence Arrest's wheel, and who can blame him? A couple of riders sneaking past, but I don't think those riders are actually, they're not. John Beam's not riding today then, John. Chewing on Wouter Clays, I assume. I think the 2 riders here, the looks like an Austrian and I'm not sure who else, another American, I think. I don't think they're in the top 10. I think they're lapped riders, and you can do this in these sort of crit races. You can actually sit in and take the benefit of riding with somebody who might be a lap ahead of you, or even a lap behind you if you need a little bit of a break. So it's still tussling away, the 3 at the front. So we're down to a 3-man race at the front of race B now. USA and Belgium duking it out. USA on home soil with 2 riders. Livians is told Belgium representing that race. The Category A race still very much a bunch sprint on the cards here. 5 kilometres to go. As I say, do remember that in the Category A race they are all people that are definitely within 2 categories. The Category B race basically is the further end of the Category B spectrum, shall we say, that will be way off the pace. And there is Jan Dekker taking a spin on the front for Ratio Racing with 4.7 kilometres to go as they go up one of those small little ramps, and down again Jan Dekker. 500 watts being put out then, and right, they're going uphill, so that's 600 now, 650. He knows how to ride, that lad, doesn't he? Well done, Jan. So they go over another ramp. Carradine, who was racing yesterday as well, I believe. Another one of that bunch. I think we're going to start seeing some action in the men's A race over the next, I think, give it 2 kilometres and we'll definitely start seeing some digs, maybe even less than that. As we see here with Baird sort of pushing off at the front. It's these little digs, as I say, they're not going to win you the race, but they might lose you some competitors. Quickly being closed down, but of course everybody has to burn a match to do that, and certainly the guy who leads the closing down for any little particular group. So that's all come together again in the A race. You might start seeing more of these little digs now, but I think the last couple of kilometres are going to be telling. Now, of course, there's 3.7 kilometres to go in the A race versus 6.3 in the B race. So we know that we're going to watch the finish of the A race first, and we'd anticipate that naturally, of course. But we can't take our eyes off the B race, because we know that one is the one where they all just absolutely go for it. And guess what? Our man Fletch is flying off the front again. So, Renault Livians or Joshua Dagoslovsky going to do anything about it. They caught him, and as they go over the ramp, Fletch goes for it again. But I think you can get away on descents, actually, because not everybody does them quite as well as they should. But I don't think amongst this calibre of racer it really does work. Vivian's then just pushing on for Belgium. Then let's have a look at the A race again, because that's getting a little close to the front. Just 3 kilometres to go now, a couple of laps. So these are the last 2 laps, and I think the riders will now be thinking, what am I going to do at the finish in the A race? And let's hope while we're away in the A race, the B race kindly stay together as a threesome for the time being, as we go over this little ramp just after the start. Does it shake anybody out? It's going to be the big question. You can see how much it stretches that peloton as they go into the descent. If you can get over that, you've got to be on the last You've got to be on somebody's wheel coming over that, otherwise you're in trouble. Now then, if this lot regroup, we've got one more descent to come. I think most of them are in there. It's a 17, I think that was a 17-man bunch. I was estimating 20 earlier, so we haven't lost many people from way back then when I sort of said it looked around 20 riders. I think it's 17. Still in the running for this men's Category A race in the Echelon Racing Series Community Series, as we are in the penultimate lap. It is going to get tasty from here. Don't take your eyes off the screen, just watch this one. So what do we got? Who's in there? Mike Schwartz, first, Zach Harmer, I can see, Sophocles, Carradine, these are Jay Cooper. These are racers I've seen. Mike Lister's in there. Who else we got? Pavlich. Yeah, these are names you see around in the races. Blodgett. Mike Looker, yeah, he's another one from 3R as well, I think. Don't tell you, Jonathan Crane's in there. I think Jonathan's a strong rider. We all know Jonathan, don't we? Prolific YouTube broadcaster as well. Look out for some of his tips. And certainly a character from Birmingham, Alabama. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Here we go. This is the last lap coming up. Right, so what have we got? 17 riders now duking it out. You get that ramp straight away. I think if you're going to ever take your chances on them, just look at everybody's going for it, and you can see Sophocles slightly suffering there. If you get dropped now, you're out of the running for the finish. Look at the three at the front. Two Ratio Racing riders in there with Blodgett. So will they be able to pull away? They've got a little bit of a gap. It's hard to make it stick, but it's worth the effort if you're on the last lap, because if you make everybody else have to fight the rest of that, and look at this, Alex Plaisir, the German, going for it. Now this is the sort of thing I'd expect on the last lap. Now Alex is going to really good go. Now the front three have got 20 metres on the rest. It's all very well sort of saying this sort of thing doesn't work halfway through a race, but on a last lap it can be absolutely critical. They're holding it. It's slightly going out a little bit, but no, it's just holding. It's holding. So Blodgett, Plaisir and Jan Decker, Belgium, America, the USA of course, and Deutschland, fighting it out. Alex Plaisir, Jan Decker and Blodgett, so I don't know your first name. They've got, it's coming down a little bit. They've only got 15 metres. Now it's gone out to 20 on Eric Hill for the USA. And Alex Plaisir has gone for it again. He's not taking, it's 300 metres to go. It's a long way to go solo. But I don't know that I can blame him, actually. I think it's the only thing you can do. Blodgett and Jan Decker sitting in there. Jan Decker's a good finisher. They still got 23 metres on the others. This is good stuff. Somebody else is up there. It's now a back marker that's got in there. I think it is, because they still got 70. Oh, it's Mike Schwartz. Sorry. I think that somebody's gone. Jan Decker's dropped off. My goodness. That was something of a win, wasn't it? That was absolutely amazing. That was enormous. That was absolutely cracking. Mike Smart came from nowhere to do that. I don't even think he was in the top three. How did he manage that? That was absolutely phenomenal. So, to the extent that I think it was Swart, Blodgett and Plaisir, but I'll need to see the finishing times come up, because that was phenomenal. Looking further back in the field here, Tom Wilkinson, C. Jones, a couple of Brits there fighting out 19th and 20th. Still, they're on the last lap, of course. We've got David Ellis down there at 25th, from France, 24th, Hugen 23rd. Some of these people riding together, Rob Miller with Hogan, are going to probably have to sprint with each other, perhaps with Coleman as well. So Wilkinson coming in on 51 minutes over the 36 kilometres. Still got a lap to go actually, sorry, I'm just assuming he was finishing. We're over to the B race, and what have we got? What's been happening since we've been away? Well, they were very kind. They kept the top three together. They got 300 metres on Terence Arrest and Phil Bottigliero, Mike Hambrick, Rice, and so on and so forth. So, well, I think we're going to end up with a race between these three. We're just coming up to the end of the penultimate lap for these three. There we are, we're starting the last lap now. So, what are these three going to do? Let's stick with them for the last lap. Oh, so Mike Swart was second. I beg your pardon. I thought he took that on the line. I completely misread that. Jonathan Crane coming in fourth, I see. So, Jan Decker must have been swamped on the line. Mike Swart, I beg your pardon, yeah. So he overtook Alex Pleasure, but it was Bodgett who got it on the line. So, well done, David Bodgett. Sorry, I misread that one. Mike Swart, amazing catch up. I guess he must have been part of the pack because Jan Decker just all the way back down in seventh behind Matt Looker, Zach Harner, John Cooper 8th, Harris Sophocles 9th, Mike Lister very good 10th, Eric Hill 11th. We'll come back to those. Let's watch the category B race because we're in the last lap of that. And here we are, we've got, oh dear, poor old Fletch is just being dropped by the other two. That is cruel after everything he's done. Is he going to fight back? Has he got enough to fight back? He might just have, they're on a descent and sometimes you can just get your breath back on a descent and make it work. But I think they know it's the last lap and they're probably not going to let this happen. I don't know. Let's see, we've just seen the peloton swamp the front runners in the I think he's going to get back on, you know. Now that's a Herculean effort. Will it mean he's got anything left for the finish? Well done indeed. He flies by Olivians, the Belgian, and Bogoslovsky, sorry, just holding the front position. This time it's Livians who looks like he might be slipping. 200 metres to go. Bogoslovsky's putting on the pressure. Fletch is challenging him. Fletch looks like he might still have it. No, I think Fletch has had to sit up. Bogoslovsky's still got it going. But is Livians going to charge it? Oh, no. Bogoslovsky gets it. Livians second. Fletch third. I think we have to take our hat off to Bogoslovsky and Fletch. That has been an absolutely massive race. Absolutely massive. That was some race. Really entertaining. We've had a cracking finish in the men's A race when we had three riders looking like they were going to do it and then just getting swamped at the end. All right, they only had a small gap of about 20 metres. Terence Arrest coming in fourth place in the category B race here. But the A race, as I say, it looked like it was a three-man sprint, and in the end, it wasn't. It was peloton catching them. Look at this. Now we thought, or at least I thought, you might have been seeing things differently. I thought it was all about Blodgett, Pleasure, and Decker, and in fact, Blodgett and Pleasure were the only two finished on the podium. Mike Swart swarmed in at the end. In fact, he was sort of 0.5 of a second behind Blodgett, so must have been very close. Probably swept past him, but just a bit too late to do it on the line. Alex Pleasure falls back into third place. Jonathan Crane leading the rest over in front of Zach Harner and Matt Looker. Jan Decker swamped there, falling back to seventh place, and that actually just what are we looking at, 0.18 of a second, and that's the effect swamping can have. John Cooper, Aris Sophocles, Mike Lister coming in next. The gaps are absolutely tiny. This was a peloton all the way back to 11th, and then there's a little bit of gap to Gavash, Tor Persk, Marko Pavlich, Liam Baird, the gaps start occurring. They're not very big gaps, of course. Remember, these are something like 2 seconds over 36 kilometres. Going to the B race, and as I say, this was an absolute cracker, wasn't it? I mean, you've got to hand it to Boguslavski for an immense race. Fletch too. Between the pair of them, they absolutely brought that to life. Rune Livians joined in and made up the trio, and well, I think all three deserve to be on the podium. You can, I suppose, go and have a beer and argue about who you think should have won, but I think we have a worthy winner, even if you think one of the other ones is more worthy. All of them were worthy. That was a fantastic race. Phil Bottigliero in 6th behind Justin Rice. Terence Arrest, as we've previously mentioned, nabbing in 4th place. Marion Hambrick from the USA in 7th. More finishing positions to be verified soon. All race results are provisional, of course, and they will be up on RGTDB very, very shortly. RGTDB, of course, run by Mike Swart, who came 2nd in the men's category A race with a terrific swamping finish. So hats off to Terry Wilkinson, Chris Jones, Charlie Revel, Said Carradine, Brian Kellison, Liam Bard, Marco Pavlich, Thor Purse, Gavash, Eric Hill, Mike Lister, Aris Softkis, John Cooper, Jan Decker, Matt Looker, Zach Harner, Jonathan Crane, Alex Plazier, Mike Swart, and category A winner David Blodgett. We'll come back to his men's category results very, very shortly. We are going to take a very, very short break of a couple of minutes, and then we'll be back with the ladies' race. Now, the women's race yesterday was absolutely phenomenal, so let's hope we get one just as good today. We also have the hand cycling and the paracycling all going on at once, and like this presentation, there will be 3 on the screen and we can flip from them all. I'm gasping for breath, which is why we need a break. That was absolutely exhilarating, gentlemen. Thank you very much for providing great entertainment. Thank you, Echelon, for putting on these races. Thank you for ZMS for producing them. The show ain't over. We'll be back very, very shortly. Don't switch off, because the ladies' race yesterday was phenomenal. See you in a minute.
Normatec recovery systems give you a high-tech compression massage for warm-up pre-workout and recovery post-workout.
The technology is very safe and is used by a broad range of athletic types and really any fitness enthusiast looking to get the most out of their workout.
The whole idea is that we're using air compression to help increase circulation in the body. We wanted to mimic physiology, the way the body moves fluids. We went ahead and took a lot of those principles and put it into a system that you can use on your different extremities and your hips as well.
Normatec has been an industry leader in pneumatic compression, providing improved mobility and profound healing for thousands of patients. We continually work with researchers to study and develop the effectiveness of our technology.
It's all about creating that community space where people have a conversation around recovery and start really challenging their beliefs in what is possible and what they've known and maybe what could be.
Come on, move. Of course, there aren't any spots. A few minutes won't hurt anybody. Thanks, Grandma.
Paralyzed Veterans of America works tirelessly every day to create a more accessible America. Let's leave the accessible spaces to the people who actually need them. Whatever the reason, excuses don't excuse. Join PVA and be part of the solution. Honor the spot.
Welcome back. ZMS presenting the Echelon Racing Promotions Community League. It's been an absolutely fascinating weekend. We had some great racing yesterday. We've just had two great men's races in the men's A and B categories, and we are thoroughly looking forward to the women's race, the para race and the hand cycle race. This is going to be more great stuff from Echelon Racing Promotions. Thanks for putting it on, guys. Now we have a course here today in Wauwatosa in Milwaukee. I thought it was absolutely flat when I first saw it, and there isn't a lot of climbing, but just after the start there's a nice, I think 8.9% ramp. We've got to do it 23 times if you're in the ladies race, or 15 laps if you're in the paracycling or hand cycling race, and it is quite decisive. Now we can see here the race is going on. Let's have a look how many riders we've got. The hand cycling, we are in a situation where we have Jackie Jones again. Yes, so Jackie Jones is riding the hand cycling race solo, which I think is very commendable. Well done, Jackie. Great to see you back 2 days running as well. You must have a lot of energy to do this twice in a weekend. It's fantastic. Stick at it, Jackie, as well. And even if you are a solo rider, please turn up, because if you give up and somebody else turns up, they'll be on your own. Whereas if you stay there and somebody else joins in, there'll be two. And when there's two, it's more attractive for a third person, and things snowball. So stick with it. Paracycling, we have here 3 riders, Kilgare, Brooks and Parangale. And I think they're the same 3 riders that we had yesterday. That's Mike Brooks, isn't it? And is it Phil? Yeah, Paul Kilgore and Daniel Perrin. There you go. Was it? I think we'll find out in a second. So well done, guys. Again, in the paracycling, we need to build these things. And if you get a core group turn up, then you get some new riders join. Before you know it, it's big, but it doesn't get big if people don't support it. So if you're watching and you fancy a go at this, get involved, because this is how we get it going. You've seen those wonderful adverts. I've never seen them before because I live in Britain. Of course, we don't get the adverts, but the veterans adverts that we just had before this, and I suspect that some of you guys are veterans yourselves, and you know and I know that it's hard work getting these things off the ground, and it needs support. So no, it's Dennis Parangale, sorry, should have known that from yesterday, sorry Dennis. But like I say, yes, the numbers aren't fantastic, but keep going with it, lads, and tell other people you meet on the scene, try and get it going. But it will only keep going if you keep supporting it. So I absolutely commend you for this, and I think the rest of us, as I say, when we see adverts like those Veterans of America adverts that we've just seen, it brings it home to us just how much we owe in our respective countries and across the world. Many people who have sacrificed themselves for our benefit. So well done all of you guys, and we'll come back to your race in a minute. Now let's have a look at the ladies' race. This was phenomenal yesterday, and we did have a big breakaway last time as well. Now 12k into this, we see a stricken rider just at the side. We've got Jacqueline Godby, and she is from the USA, and she is 450 metres ahead as she goes over the slight ramp, and I think that is pretty good. I mean, we had a long breakaway rider yesterday. It didn't spoil the race. In fact, I think the ladies' race was the best race yesterday. Both because I think you get impressive little breakaways like this, but then if you look back, you know, there's little tussles to be had here, isn't there? We see Faustino from Portugal 500 metres behind Jacqueline Godby, but then the next batch there's sort of 3 or 4 riders, Schumann, Yuya, Rankinen. She was racing yesterday, so that is Gabriella Schumann in there. She was racing yesterday as well. So some of these races in the next batch, they're on day 2. Remember, we've got Dora as well. So yeah, the next batch is full of yesterday's stars. When I say yesterday's stars, I think I need to pick a better phrase than that, because it rather sounds like it. So Anna Ronkinen from Finland, and as I say, these are yesterday's riders too. They're going over the steep bit here. Let me see. Anna just having that little bit extra there, didn't she? Chevalier, French rider with them. So now this is a series, of course. So we have to remember that it doesn't matter. I say it doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Everybody's racing to win, aren't they? But if you come second in this, it's right. Anna Ronkainen, she came 3rd yesterday. So anything in the top 10 is going to put her in a very strong position. And I'm pretty sure that Godby up front was not racing yesterday. Eva Dora here was. So again, Eva Dora maybe an 8th position, but she's going to clock up a lot of points for that, and will probably be very high in the series rankings by the end of play in this race. We're about a third of the race. We're over a third of the race way through the race. 2 Germans here, Marb and Eva Dora. But you've got Schumann, Marb and Dora. So you've got quite German quartet in those few places. I'd say Schumann's quite a way ahead, of course, but Erska Kurent there, Slovenian rider. Keep remarking how many Slovenians there are in this. For the size of the country, I was probably going to carry on saying that, aren't I? Because it is phenomenal, isn't it? What a wonderful country it is. I'm afraid I have been to it, but I haven't seen much of it, I'm afraid. It's a trip across the border from Italy. I'm trying to think what the name of the town is actually. I called it Kunas yesterday, but it's not Kunas because that's in Lithuania, isn't it? So, sorry, I can't remember. Anyway, Erska Kurent, now descending nicely there. Jackie Jones has stopped. Hopefully, just a break. We'll give you more news of that later. Hopefully, that's not a mechanical. The interesting thing is that Jackie hasn't actually stopped. It's on a +3 gradient. Maybe there's something. Maybe it's just a break. Maybe it's a mechanical. And Jackie's off again. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Of course, when you are riding these things, well done, Jackie. Fantastic stuff. When you are riding these things, you get dropouts. And we've created. Now, the interesting thing is that Jackie's legs aren't moving. This tells me it's a dropout, I think, because what happens when you get a dropout, you're pedaling away, but you're not. But your legs don't move, and I think that's what's happening. Sometimes you just have to wait for the connection. So the interesting thing is, Jack is not quitting or anything like that, which suggests you just kind of waiting to, probably fiddle around, bang the top of your laptop, push the plug in a little bit more, and see what happens. The fact that there was an attempt to get going again suggests to me that this is a mechanical, which is basically the word mechanical replaced by a T. But we'll come back to that. So at paracycling, what have we got? Now, much like yesterday, Kilgore-Brooks Parangano, big gaps, but again, we don't mind. We're glad you're here, guys. Paul Kilgore is the clear leader. Only 250 metres on Mike Brooks, so it's not all over. About halfway through the race, just over halfway through the race. So we won't write off Mike Brooks yet. Parangano, probably a bit more of a tall order at 1.1 kilometres, but nevertheless, you're going to stick it to the end, aren't you? Absolutely. So I think it's just great that they're all part of this. As I say, we want more riders, so go and tell your mates. If you know anybody that would be interested in this, get them involved in this. This is fantastic stuff. Well done, Mike Brooks. Good to see you pushing away there. Pushing at 250 watts. About what I would do, I think. Plus 180 mil, probably a bit more. It's 1.2 gradient. I mean, I think with gradients, I mean, you have to look at how long they are. I mean, this is one of those things where you got one of the steep gradients like the one we've got on this course. It's very important that you decide how best it is for you to get up there. I mean, I have a rider I know who've been in these sorts of races who will just go down to the lowest gear and just try and get them up them as easily as possible, where I tend to sort of like absolutely sort of throw down some effort. I don't go up them very fast, but I have to do it with power, not spinning, and we will ride different techniques. Dennis Parangao tucking in there for the descent, pushing out 94, so relatively easy, but that is on a descent as well. You don't need to be bursting your guts on a descent like this, so nothing wrong with that. In fact, the gap between Dennis and Mike Brooks has come down to under a kilometre, so that's good. Well done. Let's have a look at the ladies and see if Goodby has been hauled in at all. 450, it's holding, isn't it? Oh my goodness, it's holding between her and Faustino, but way back to Juillard is 1.2. So Jacqueline Godby from the USA is probably going to win this race, but if not, he's almost certainly going to be on the podium in my view. Well done, Jacqueline. This is a great race. I don't think Faustino's going to let you have it too easy though, so keep your eye on the game, girl. Let's have a look at Faustino's output, shall we? See what it is that's drawing her ever closer to Jacqueline Godby's wheel. Faustino Portuguese, of course, and interestingly, just to be clear that all these results in these races are provisional, and it is the case that, for example, that looks like a male avatar. That will be checked. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's all legitimate, but you know, when you set yourself up, you may or may not have bothered to tick the right avatar and things like that. And I've no doubt. I say I've no doubt. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. Alberto Faustino also seems to have a male name, so that might be a suspect entry in the women's race. So we'll have to consider that one dubious, I think, based on name and avatar. But I could be wrong. Anyway, Anna Ronkanen is in third place, and that's exactly where she finished yesterday. She could be elevated because yesterday's and today's results will be checked. But she's got company today. She's not on her own. She's got Chevalier. She's got a bit of a French contingent around her, hasn't she? With Juillard and Chevalier and Schumann from Germany. So European quartet there. In fact, it's all European, back down to 10th place, where we have the New Zealander bowler. So, Christophe Juillard. Christophe Juillard looks to have a male avatar and a male name as well. So that's another one where I'm afraid we're going to have checked at the end. So just looking at that, you can see the other avatars: Anna Rankanen, Janine Schumann, sorry, and I think Christophe Juillard is getting dropped anyway. So maybe that's not such a bad thing if it turns out to be a male. And given the name and the avatar, there is more than a zero possibility of that. Eva Dora in 7th place, 400 metres behind, with Marb and Kurent from Slovenia. Urska Kurent 1.6 behind, soloing just in front of the bowler, the New Zealander, by about 300 metres. Jeremy Chevalier, oh dear, another male avatar with another male name. Oh dear. Okay, so that probably means that it's Ronkanen and Schumann that are the ladies to look at here in terms of the race. I think the French duo there might just be in the wrong category. Never mind. As we go over the, you can see. Oh, just look at that, Jacqueline Godby giving it a bit of effort getting over that ramp. Anyway, you go for it, Jackie. I think you're probably not under as much pressure as you might have thought. Anna Rankanen, you might be a bit further up the field than you perhaps realise from the stats in front of you. You see a couple of ladies in the race in the bottom right hand corner. USA flag on the bottom right hand one. I'm not sure. The lady on the left is the same lady as yesterday, and I can't remember who it is now. I'm sure Damien will remind me in a minute, but it's the same lady who we had in the Zoom room yesterday. It was one of yesterday's riders. A German. It was one of the Germans, wasn't it? It was. My name will come to me. I think Damien's about to tell me. I should remember this, but I definitely recognise it's the same lady. It's Gabriella. Gabriella. So it's Gabriella Schumann, isn't it? I think. Fantastic stuff. Well done for joining the Zoom room. I think they can communicate. I'm not sure I'd want to talk to anybody when I was putting that much effort in. Oh, poor old Jackie Jones. Look in the bottom right-hand corner. Oh, it's Jackie Godby is the other one, the American one. So, Leader and Gabriella Schumann are the two ladies in the Zoom room. I'm a bit worried about Jackie Jones, though. It's looking terminal there, isn't it? It's not nothing featuring. I'll say the fact that Jackie hasn't quit suggests to me that there's probably some faffing around with some wires going on, seeing if they can't fix it. But it certainly smacks of a mechanical rather than a withdrawal. Over to the paracycling. Oh, Jackie's just got going again. Go on, Jackie. I mean, that is again. It's on. That was on a very steep bit as well. Oh no! Look, the legs have stopped again. I've been there. This has happened to me. You can see there, the legs get going and then it cuts out again. This says to me that this is something mechanical and not a human failing of sorts. As we see, just going over the up there, we've got Paul Gagor just tackling that steep bit, 7.6, 7.9, slow right down 10 kph, 8.2%, 8.4% down to 9 kph, 5.1, and the speed goes up 2, and it's -2, and suddenly we've tripled the speed from 10 kph to quadrupled it to 40 kph. Paul Kiggle actually flying down the other side now. See if you can do 5 times the speed. 48, 50, yeah, so that's it. So from 10 to 50 in no time at all, just by getting over that little ramp. Well done, Paul. Fantastic stuff. And you are a comfortable 150 metres in front of Mike Brooks. So that isn't as big as it was before, was it? We might even have a little bit of a sprint finish between you two guys if you don't if you don't keep that distance going. And then we have Dennis Parankeo further back, just enjoying the ride, and we're enjoying having you along for the ride as well. So thanks for turning up, guys. Don't forget, spread the word. You know, if you know anybody that's into paracycling, then this is for them, and the more we get, the better it gets. And we all know the better it gets, the more people want to be part of it, and the more we enjoy the entertainment, it just gets better and better, doesn't it? So the other thing is, remember that when we get avatars for the para and hand cycling things, we have different physics for them, because they're based on, so for example, if you're a hand cycling, you've got completely different wind resistance and things like that. So there are differences in the way it operates for the certainly for the hand cyclists, and I think to a degree for the paracyclists, but I'm not sure. So this is a list of the events for the para and hand cycling riders. You can see in front of you, going right through to February, plenty to get excited about. So make sure you put the word out, and we can have more and more riders in the future races. Oh, we keep seeing this, don't we? Jackie Jones just gets going, and then you can see the legs start moving, and it's rather like one of those faulty wires, isn't it? You know, a little bit of a spark, you know, and it all goes, and then it stops, and you know, everybody scratches their head, has a look at it, you know, bangs it, and then there's another go. Look there, that's exactly what's happening, isn't it? Jackie's, mind you, look, Jackie's on the steep bit there. Maybe Jackie is just, I mean, Jackie did race yesterday as well, so you know, I could be wrong. Maybe it is just tired arms fighting their way up that steep incline. Paracyclists going up the steep incline now. Dennis Parankeo. Just taking that 8% bit on, and yep, right over the top, and he goes from 10 kph to 30 kph in no time at all, and we'll probably be hitting 50 any second now. Just before the bend as well. We hit it before with the last rider. Can you do it? You're going to get up to 50? Probably not. It's going to be 40, isn't it? 45, 46. Oh, nearly. But you know, from 10 kph to 46 kph in no time at all. That is the effect of this incline. You see here Paul Gore now, the leader, doing it. Again, same thing. It's down to about 10 kph over the top, and in seconds it's trebled. Probably less than a second. Bad news, I'm afraid Jackie has logged out. I think Jackie's given up with the trials and tribulations and the hand cycling, so we're down to 2 races, I'm afraid. Well done, Jackie. Tremendous effort. I've been there myself and had mechanicals. I know how it feels. It's very frustrating, but it is all part of the race. You know, professional cyclists out on the road get mechanicals. Here on e-racing we get mechanicals. It happens, it's part of the game. So in the bottom right hand corner we have Godby, who is leading the race there with the USA flag on her wall. Lots of biking equipment to admire. Now in the centre is Gabriella, the German. I think it's Gabriella Schumann. And at the top we have paracyclists. So I'm not sure. Which one's which. I do. Damon can probably tell me. But Gabriella Schumann here, who we've just seen in bottom centre in the Zoom room, putting out 200 watts, heart rate of 154, cadence of about 70, and speed 37 kph. So Gabriella's up into 3rd place at the moment, which is very respectable. And bear in mind that that could be 2nd if Faustino turns out to be in the wrong category. Juillard is also possibly going to be in the wrong category, as is Chevalier. So that probably means that realistically, if that happens, Anna Ronkanen, who we're looking at now, is realistically in 3rd place. Gabriella Schumann is realistically 2nd. So in terms of points, I mean, for Gabriella and Anna, this is good stuff because they both raced yesterday. They will be picking up good points. But that shoves the whole ranking up, doesn't it? Ranking, there's got to be a joke there. Ronkanen and ranking. Marb in 7th is therefore probably more like 4th. Eva Dora, move them up 3 places. Ursula Corrent. These are all people that are going to be moving up from the places you're actually seeing. Unfortunately, this all gets looked in after the race, so I can't comment too much. As I say, Alberto Stino is probably not in the right category. Marb here, German, and as we can see, that is probably a female avatar, which is a good sign that we've got a rider that is in the right category here. Marb now riding at it's Maria Marb, the German, and she's joined by Ursula Krent and Eva Dora, 2 Germans and a Slovenian. Maria putting in 215 watts there, and interestingly got the same kit as the other German ladies, so therefore I assume they're riding for the same team, although I don't recognise that Team Kent and I can't quite read what it is. Maybe on a different camera angle I can pick out what the team name is. Eva Dora there, her teammate, and what have we got on the back of that? Can't quite. Rose. Oh, Rose Bikes. Oh, okay. I see. There's a name. There's a name above that I didn't quite catch. It's Rose Bikes, which is a German bike brand, of course, isn't it? Yeah, it is Rose. So. I can't quite read what the yellow writing is, to be honest, but it's powered by Rose, and they've got Rose. Actually, it's on their shorts, isn't it? As well, I can't see it. So whatever it is, powered by Rose. Rose Bikes is a quite established German bike brand, of course, which most of you will know, because you're no doubt cycling fans if you're watching this. There's Slovenian just taking a wheel on the back of these two German ladies. It's nice to have a little trio like this because we know that we're probably going to get a decent little tussle in the last lap. We're quite a way off that, about 2/3 of the way through the race. Taking turns on the front here, we're just coming up to the steep little ramp, and we see everything start slowing down. Let's see what speed the ladies can get over this ramp. It's down to 24. And the other thing is as well, you know, you're never quite sure quite how this depends out. They're down to 21. This is actually not bad speed, is it, for that ramp? There's Jacqueline Goodby, who we've seen on coming past. Oh, look at her flying past her. And you can see that splits there. Maria Marb, the stronger of the three, but Jacqueline Goodby, she just flew up that. And these are basically the main three riders. Well, not the main three. Sorry, no, because you are missing Anna Rantanen and Gabriella Schumann, haven't we? Jacqueline Goodby just flew past them there. That was absolutely phenomenal. Mind you, I suppose, to be fair, she's 3 kilometres, which is 2 laps ahead of them. She is absolutely on fire, isn't she? You go, girl. That's absolutely, that's emphatic. She's having it nice and easy now, of course. Just you know, sitting in at 200 watts. Because she's going downhill, isn't she? I mean... But she bothers, you know, this is it. You can, you know, if you fight hard downhill where other people probably sit up, you will gain ground. And to be fair, if I was a kilometre behind, I'd probably sit up on the downhill. Because time gaps aren't going to make a big difference in the series. The series, you get points for position. So if you finish 200 metres behind or 2 kilometres behind, you know, the points difference isn't that massive. Paul Gagor now suffering the pain of the ride. Mike Brooks is closing that gap. It's down to 48 metres, isn't it? Now this is getting exciting, isn't it? They've only got 3 kilometres to go. Remember, they do less laps than the ladies. They're only doing 15 laps versus 23 laps for the ladies. So we are going to get to the end of this one before the ladies run. And in fact, they're really in the penultimate lap. And Mike Brooks just lost 150 metres on that climb. So Mike Brooks, so perhaps we watched that, you know, we drew that sort of 48 metre gap thing at exactly the wrong moment, because it was probably when Paul had probably just gone up the climb and Mike hadn't. But this is going to be interesting with 2.6 minutes to go. I mean, if I were Mike Brooks, I would just be putting everything into this. It's down to 177. I mean, if you can get close on the fact, you see Dennis Parangao enjoying the descent. Now I'm just intrigued to see what Mike Brooks can pull this down to, because I think he's probably still a couple of 100 metres behind Paul Gagor, and Paul Gagor needs to be looking over his shoulder. 200 metres. In fact, I think Paul's is responding, and if you get into the last lap with 200 metres to go, I think Paul can hold it out. We're down to 160 again. Mike putting in a bit of effort. It's 2 kilometres to go. 150 metres. What can Mike do? I bet the pair of them are absolutely sweating buckets and gasping for air at the moment. 130 metres to go. If we get to the end of this lap and it's more than 48 kilometres, we know that Paul Gagor has pulled away from Mike Brooks, because when we joined these two, remember, it was just before that little ramp, and the gap was 48 metres. It's down to 100 metres at the moment. With Mike on the screen, he's in second place. He's got to put everything in to close that down and force a sprint finish with Paul. Paul is looking at, they're coming up to the ramp again. I think Paul's won this lap by a good 50 metres apart at the beginning of this point last lap. We're now 100 metres. Paul's clawed out 50 meters. Oh, it's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down. 94. How good is Mike on the climb? Look, you can see his quarry just up there, but he needs to get there before the top, because once Paul gets on that descent, I don't think he's got much. No, look how, oh dear, this is agonising. It's gone out. Paul's gone over the top. Paul's gone over the top, I think, or maybe not over the top, but the gap is widening. No, Paul isn't over the top. He's still got a way to go. Look, but he's near the top. If he gets to this with 100 metres, I think it's his, because he will extend that 100 metres while he's descending and Mike's still climbing, and I think that will just be too much for Mike to claw back. 120, it's not going to happen, is it? So poor old Mike left on the climb. He might catch Dennis Parangao, but he's not going to catch Paul Kilgore, who's now 200 metres ahead, and it's rising because Paul is enjoying the descent, and Mike is just about to crest it now for the first time. With a 300 metre gap, it's Paul Kilgore's to lose now, isn't it? Well, that was actually quite exciting, wasn't it? So thank you very much, guys, for making that so entertaining. Paul Kilgore, I'm not sure if the MR is for Moon Riders or not, but you're a Moon Rider, well done. It's not a Moon Riders kit though, is it? So well done, Mike Brooks, for having a good go. That was, you didn't even quite catch Dennis, did you, on the climb? I thought you were going to. Well done, Dennis, for fighting off your predator from behind. Mike going past Dennis now. So Mike sailing in 800 metres to go. He's going to take second place. Paul Kilgore with just the last 350 metres to go. Oh, we had the excitement. It might not have been on the line, but it was on the line with one lap to go, wasn't it? Just after the line, when we see whether Mike could make up that gap or he couldn't. So these three are going to be duking it out across the series, I think, and hopefully there'll be many more joining them. Absolutely fantastic effort, guys. Well done for being part of all this. I think it's amazing. I absolutely do. I think it's brilliant that you do this. So I think with I think Paul must be about to finish. Let's see the finishing line. Stand up and wave your arms. Point to your sponsor. I see you've got an RGT kit on, so RGT take the victory. Well done, Paul Kilgore, winner of the paracycling event. Well done indeed. Mike Brooks too, who is crawling up the last little bit of a descent towards the finish. Only 180 metres to go, but it'll probably feel like 180 miles. On this, it's not a steep ascent, but you know, it'd be nice to just glide in now, wouldn't it, having done all that hard work. Well done indeed. Second place looms. You can see the finishing line now. You'll get a nice round of applause from all those avatars by the side of the road. There, look at them. So pleased to see you. And the sign says you're in Wauwatosa. Dennis Parangao with another lap to go, and we shall assume that you're going to finish, Dennis, and probably move over to the ladies' race to see how it's all faring over there. Jacqueline Goodby is absolutely tearing it apart, isn't she? She is. I'm going to assume that Faustino in second place is not going to pass the category test. There are some doubts about whether Faustino should be in this race. And we've got Gabriella Schumann. Now the pair of them, the first two, are both in the Zoom room. So hi girls, fantastic racing, well done. Gabriella is about the best part of 2 laps behind Jacqueline. That's how emphatic Jacqueline has been. Now let's just watch her going up this. She is going up this ramp that's been giving everybody difficulty. She's at 30 kph. Now I'm sure it's going to slow down because it gets steeper, but we've seen riders from all categories dropping down to about 10%. look at her now. She's reaching the peak at 28 kph, over the top at 28, when we're seeing riders doing that at 10 in other races. That is how emphatic Jacqueline's ride has been. Absolutely phenomenal. So we've got Gabriella Schumann 2.5 kilometres behind. That's almost 2 laps behind there. Anna Ronkainen from Finland is at 3 kilometres. So there's a good 500 metres between Gabriella and Anna. We're going to ignore the 2 French riders. And we've got Maria Marb at 4.8. Now she's riding with fellow German Eva Dora, and they seem to have dropped Urska Karent, the Slovenian, who's now over a kilometre, probably about a whole lap behind Eva Dora and Maria Marb. So that's who we're watching. There's the confirmation of the paracycling result, just waiting for Dennis Parangaya's time to come in. But well done both of you guys. It's a privilege to have you on board, part of the Echelon Racing Promotions community series. Keep turning up and keep us entertained, lads. That was fantastic. That last little climb before, just at the start of the last lap, was phenomenal, guys. Great entertainment. You will go down in Echelon Racing history for that little tussle. And look at that. Jacqueline lapping Gabrielle Shoemaker. I see they've got the same kit on, so I'm assuming there that they're probably riding for the same team. It's not one of the jerseys I particularly recognise, so you might need to let me know if they are of an obvious team that I don't have familiarity with. And Jacqueline comes home to win the race. Absolutely. Absolutely phenomenal. About 100 metres to go for Dennis now. Slightly downhill at the end, even though there was a kind of small grind upwards just a bit earlier. Oh, it goes up again, sorry. So there we are. Daniel completes the trio. That's the paracycling results confirmed. Well done, Dennis. Well done, Dennis Parangaya. And well done for all 3 of you. Terrific race. Look forward to the next one. Don't forget, it's a couple of weeks to the next one of these. I'm not sure I'm commentating on these ones, but you'll be in the capable hands of another ZMS commentator, one of my colleagues. So now we're looking at Gabriella Schumann and third to go. Jacqueline Godby now confirmed winner. It's nearly there. You're going to see the. You've only got to do that nasty climb one more time now. Just think of it that way. Once you're over that climb, it's easy. You'll love every minute after that. You'll be coasting home to pick up the points. And don't forget to. She's about to catch Maria Marb, who's in I say 7th place. I think that's probably more like 4th, to be honest. But fellow German there, both in that rose kit as well. And of course. Anybody who's a soccer fan will appreciate that white shirts and black shorts are the national soccer strip for the German teams as well, aren't they? So you see Juillard and Chevalier, you can see both got male avatars and both have male given names. So we're assuming that they are probably in the wrong category and going to not count in the results. Oh, Maria Marb's actually catch Gabriella on the climb a little bit. You're a bit of a climber, aren't you, Maria? Oh, good show. Gabriella pulling away, getting over the crest, making that little gap count there. Eva Dora then again in that same kit, that German kit. I wonder if I look on my RGT app, I could actually look these kits up, but I can't say it's something to do with Rose Bikes, but I've got a feeling there's another name ahead of that. Confirmation of the paracycling results. Paul Kagor, Mark Brooks, and of course Dennis Parangaya. 4 minutes 24, the difference between first and third. Everybody picking up points. 700 metres for Gabriella. You're going to enjoy this bit. You've just done the big hump, haven't you? So you enjoy every moment of this. It does slightly incline towards the end, but apart from having sort of tired legs from the distance and pace you've just ridden at, it should not be too sapping, especially for a ride of your calibre. Well done indeed. I think Anna's going to get third place. Second, third place in 2 days for Anna. Just 300 metres. You can see it inclines slightly here. It's only 1%. I don't think Gabriella needs to sort of burn any matches here because nobody's going to catch her. No, so it's Anna's now 600 metres behind. So with 170 metres to go, she can see that Anna putting in some power, certainly chin down and going for it. And here we see Gabriella. Well done, and thanks for being part of the Zoom room. I hope you're listening in and you can hear us. Terrific. Round of applause as she finishes. Marvellous stuff. Absolutely marvellous stuff. Anna Rankinen from Finland now with just 300 metres to go, coming in next, as we assume that the two French riders behind that are not going to be counted. Maria Marb is on the last lap, as is Ividora, so we're going to ignore Chevalier because we're pretty sure that that's not a qualifying rider. Yeah. not everything is quite what it seems, so could be wrong, but we are going to assume that Chevalier is not going to be considered of this category. Anna Rankinen therefore taking third place. Sorry, second. Yeah, second place, isn't it? Yeah, because no, sorry, third place. Yeah, because we've got Jacqueline Godby, Gabriella Schumann, and then Anna Rankinen. So it's third. So Anna getting third again. We're looking at Maria Marb getting fourth, Ividora fifth, and Urska Karen sixth. So Maria Marb is the next one we want to watch, who's going to be our fourth place finisher. She is, though, I mean, for all that, she's only sort of 300 metres ahead of Ividora. I don't think Eva's going to make up 300 metres in 1 kilometre though, so we'll assume that Maria is going to be the one waving her hands in the air next as she crosses the line. 600 metres to go. As I say, there's no absolute reason to push too hard because the points are given for these finishes are based on your position, not your time. So therefore, if you've got a heavy race tomorrow, I wouldn't burn all your matches. 400 metres to go on that slight incline. It does incline a little bit towards the end. As I say, if your legs have been sacked already, it probably doesn't feel that comfortable. But the thought of finishing probably urges you on, and you can take a little bit more pain knowing that it's all going to stop soon. Of course, it doesn't stop as soon as you think, does it? Because you can't wait to cross the line and you stop pedalling and you spend about the next 2 or 3 minutes trying to get your breath back. You didn't realise how hard you were breathing. 100 metres to go, see the finishing line, see the crowds and the glory waits. Maria finishes fourth in the ladies' race, Echelon Community Racing. Well done, Maria. Eva's coming up next in 300 metres time. There you go, Eva. Go on. Just 250 metres to go. Urska Karent still got another lap and a bit to go. So it's quite a phenomenal German lineup in this race, and as I say, all wearing those Rose Bikes kits. Hopefully you've all selected Rose Bikes on your equipment. It's a classic German bike company who's internationalised in modern years. Very respectable. I've certainly bought things from them myself, I have to say. Urska from Slovenia now just going round, finishing off the penultimate lap, 300 metres to go before she has to endure the nasty little spike in the course for the very, very last time. As I say, they're the results as the timing equipment takes them. We have to say Jacqueline Godby phenomenally won that race by a massive margin. Alberto Faustino, you'll probably guess that Alberto doesn't sound very feminine, and Alberto was not riding with a feminine avatar either, so that has to be questioned. Jeremy Chevalier and Christophe Juillard equally have male names and had male avatars, so there's a debate as to whether they'll be allowed as results, should we say. So let's assume they're not. So Jacqueline Godby first, Gabriella Schumann from Deutschland in third, Anna Ronkanen from Finland in... Sorry, let's start again. Jacqueline Godby in the USA first, Gabriella Schumann from Deutschland in second, making Anna Ronkanen from Finland third. Christophe Juillard is going to be disallowed, so we think so. Maria Marb from Deutschland and Eva Dora also from Deutschland, both 7 minutes down on the winner. The win was phenomenal. I mean, if you look at the distance between Jacqueline and Gabriella, 4 minutes 32, that is a lot in a 36 kilometre race. So Urska Kurent now just 900 metres to go. She's done the hump and she can enjoy the ride now. Look at that wonderful scenery that RGT provide us. Sit back, thank Echelon Racing Promotions for putting all of this on and entertaining us over this weekend. Pro racing next week from Echelon, and back to the community races in a fortnight's time. I don't think I'm commentating on those. I might be on one of them. But anyway, ZMS will be here with either myself or one of my colleague commentators from ZMS to enjoy the action with you. And there's no better way to enjoy a cold winter's afternoon than sitting in the warm, nice cup of something and enjoying the racing that's put on for us. It's been my pleasure. It really has to get involved with this series. I look forward to being back. I'm definitely down for a few of these over the series, and I shall probably be looking out results on the ones I'm on anyway. 250 metres to go now for Urska Kurent to finishing off the ladies' race and our weekend's entertainment. We'll have a roundup of the results, I'm sure, just before we go. But well done to everybody who's raced today. Commiserations to Jackie Jones, who had to pull out. Be interesting to find out what went wrong for Jackie as Urska crosses the line for the last time today, and she'll be the last rider to cross the line today. Well, it's excluding the camera that's just behind her. But anyway, never mind. Well done, ladies. That was fantastic. You kept us entertained every bit of the way this weekend. So as I say, we're 9th place not filled out yet. 9th place will move up because I think we've got to assume that 2nd, 4th and 6th are going to be extracted, which puts everybody up 3 places. So 9th will be 6th. I think Jacqueline has been absolutely phenomenal and just proving what a powerhouse she is. Gabriella and Anna, both phenomenal for racing 2 races over the weekend. That in itself is exhausting, so that's to be applauded too. Maria Marb, Eva Dora, who so rode 2 races this weekend, so to do it twice, and let's face it, a lot of the men who rode yesterday didn't come back and ride today, so well done, ladies. All of our paracyclists came back and rode today, as did our hand cyclists. Something clearly went wrong for our hand cyclists, but mechanicals are part of the game. I'm sure you'll be back next time, won't you, Jackie? Thanks very much for watching. This has been an excellent weekend for us with ZMS Echelon Racing. We'll see you next time. Bye.